front of a capacity crowd. 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen does get away well.
The top three here, Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, 13 world championships between them. Count them, take it down to you. Yeah, well, 7 for Hamilton, 4 for Vettel, 2 for Verstappen, 13, that makes 13. Nice one, Griffin, not too shabby.
In a few moments' time, we have the green flag, and in front of a capacity crowd, 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen does get away well.
The top three here, Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, 13 world championships between them. Count them, take it down to you. Yeah, well, 7 for Hamilton, 4 for Vettel, 2 for Verstappen, 13, that makes 13. Nice one, Griffin, not too shabby.
In a few moments' time, we have the green flag, and in front of a capacity crowd, 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen does get away well.
Hello all and welcome in to WHF Tier 3. You're joined by me, WHF Farrell, for this evening's action. We're here in round 7 as we head to Melbourne, Australia, as SSR Zampa reserving for this evening will be the first driver to set a lap here in these lovely conditions. Welcome one and all into the lovely sunny weather here in Australia. Looks currently like we're going to have some good weather in Tier 3. Lovely to see. As a driver from Tier 2, I'm very jealous. We've had rain all season so far, but it's looking very sunny out there as it stands. Oh, Zampa, big boot of the throttle as he hopped over that exit curb. You don't really want to be using too much of that exit curb as it can bottom out the car, as we've seen, and he invalidates out of turn 6 as we'll see who else is on a flying lap. I believe Northey on a flyer in this one, and I just remembered I should open up the app while everyone goes on a flyer here. But Ollie Bean in the chat says, if Max was wet tomorrow, I'm going to lose it. And yes, Ollie Bean, I am the exact same mindset. I just don't want it to be wet. The only dry race I have done was Qatar and Canada this season, and both of them I still binned it anyway, so it didn't really matter. Tier 2 has not gone great for me this season, but other drivers like Ollie Bean are having a much more fun outing this season. But Northey now rounding the final corner. It's been a very smooth lap from the Williams driver. And we'll see as Northey comes up to the line. What kind of time is he setting? It's a 17.9 for Northey. In behind Lil Majin does a 17.8. As anyone else on a lap, Creamy Flaps reserving for the today, as DZ Racer won last time out in Hungary, got his first win in WHF, and DZ Racer now is quickest here with the 16.3. But great to see DZ Racer be the driver currently to watch. And let's see who else is on a lap. We've got MQK on a flyer. Last time out, started P16 and ended on the podium. Let me double check the sound alerts are on. Let me get them added. The correct ones added. Let me see here. As MQK getting his lap blocked here by a Mercedes of Ash, and MQK spins round the final corner. Not ideal for the Cyber driver.
I am stupid. I am stupid.
And just in time, welcoming Michael Oy into the stream as MQK spins around the final corner and thankfully gets moving. I wanted to see him moving a lot sooner because you run a risk of getting disqualified if you're sat too long, as Raheem leading McLaren as Michael Louis leads McLaren in Tier 1. Raheem leading McLaren in Tier 3 here. And Raheem having a decent season so far. Let me get up the championships standings if I can. Currently James G, aka NMX James, in P5, currently in the qualifying order, is currently leading the championship by 35 points ahead of Raheem, who's got further 10 points ahead of Billion Penguin, followed by Smoke and Ash, 2 points behind Billion Penguin. Dobo on 74 points, that's 13 behind Ash. Meanwhile, El Pratt moved up to P6 in the championship after picking up his first win this season. He would like to, as we've got some action in the final sector, but a yellow flag action, not quite sure what happened there, as I believe it might be Page starting her out lap. Maybe there was a couple in a queue there. Zampa on a lap now, and we'll see, can Zampa get a good lap time on the board here. And currently the laps to look out, or the lap to look for, is a 16.3 with DZ Racer. And I would have liked to have seen where he would be up in the championship if he had attended all the races. He has missed 2 races as Sci-Fi Mega has joined. Lovely to see 19 in the lobby as Sci-Fi will pick up his Alpine. And also lovely to see 15 viewers in the chat. Welcome all into this stream on this Friday evening. Nice to be done the work of week, or the work of school, or the week of school, not the work of school. But yeah, anyway, it has been a long week as Zampa rounding the final 2 corners now. And where can the Aston Martin driver go as the rear unstable, trying to get that car rotated? And the Aston Martin driver now up to the line. It'll be a 16.8 for SSR Zampa. Meanwhile, Page goes to P16 and 18.9 is the one to watch. MQK, last time out, started P16 and ended up on the podium with one of the drives of the season. MQK, definitely a driver to watch. I mean, you have to say, no matter where he qualifies here, could be one to watch. Meanwhile, Lil Majin said before the race, Lil Majin did declare that he would win this race. So Lil Majin in the Mercedes, he has to be the driver to watch. He has the confidence. Can he execute here today? As Lil Majin now exits turn 6 as we charge down the long winding quote-unquote straight. That's flat with DRS open and into the sharp chicane through 9 and 10, I believe. Is that right? 9 and 10? It is 9 and 10. And into heavy braking zone of turn 11. Little bit of a distraction ahead of him with the V-Carb, who I believe is on an in or an out lap. And that may be a little bit distracting for the Mercedes driver. Although not blocked the Mercedes, as Majin now will get a little bit of a tow down the main straight. This may help Majin's lap, and up to the line he goes, and Majin up to P4 gets 8 tenths ahead of Few, as he did have, I believe, A54 on a lap just ahead of him. Didn't block his lap, but would have definitely been a little distracting. Meanwhile, the championship leader in the Ferrari, NMX James, had such a consistent start to the season, but a last round in Hungary for the first time this season we've seen NMX James falter. And could this be the opportunity for the likes of Raheem, Billy and Ash, Dobo, El Prat and more to start to capitalise on NMX James's form? Or will he bounce back? He had 4 consecutive wins, and NMX James now up to P3 and is 200ths behind Zampa. Meanwhile, Ansu on a flyer. Lovely run through. Turn 6, used all of the track possible there, and he's up by half a second. Massive improvement for Ansu. We'll see how much the Red Bull can get. Ansu hasn't had an amazingly strong season, down in P14. Only finished P16 last time out. Could Ansu finally get a big result here in the Red Bull? Currently P10, improving massively in this qualifying session. Big wobble exiting turn 11, as we do see Few improve to P2 with a 16.7. And Ansu now rounding the final corner of the rear, skating on that Red Bull as it's foot to the floor and up to the line. Where can Ansu go as he crosses the line? It's a 17.4, improves by 3.5 tenths and gets up to P9. Meanwhile, MQK on a slower lap. Billy and Penguin now up by 1.5 tenths. That Alpine ahead of him, maybe a little bit of a distraction, but I think Sci-Fi up ahead is on a lap as well, unless that is Few. I'm not quite sure. It is Sci-Fi Mega Hype, and I think Sci-Fi might be on a lap here as well. I believe so. And Billion won't be happy about this, but I mean, Sci-Fi is on a lap as well. It's really on Billion that he started his lap too close to the driver ahead, and Billion does improve to P7 as Sci-Fi into P19. Meanwhile, who else do we have out there? Dobo Invalid. And Dobo led the championship here at the very start of the season. Now seems to be struggling all the way down in P15. Meanwhile, Fizzy Boy half a second down. Fuse on an in lap. And I believe no one else really on a push lap as things stand. RJ potentially on an in lap or an extra out lap. RJ seems to be on an extra out lap, so round the final corner we go. RJ will be starting a lap here in the Ferrari. And currently just behind Page, but can RJ have a good showing here today? But get your predictions in the chat. Who do you think's going to go on pole? Who do you think's going to win the race? Currently, it's looking like DZ Racer has a very strong pole position as things stand. No one really close to the V-Carb here. That's 16.3. Few is the closest driver to it, and he's 3.5 tenths back. As RJ now almost half a second of the good, but Invalid runs wide out of turn 9, and that costs RJ that lap. Thank you for the follow, Jabba. Welcome into the stream. Zdobo, 3.5 tenths to the good. As Ollie Bean says, DZ Racer looks very strong. And yes, DZ Racer picked up his first win in WHF last time out. Finishing, I believe, ahead of Raheem. Yeah, it was Raheem in P2. Raheem has had a couple of P2s this season. He had 3 consecutive P2s in the last 3 races as Zdobo washes out wide, exiting turn 10. And the Red Bull driver just really struggling in qualifying. But, yeah, 3 consecutive P2s for Raheem. Can Raheem finally try and get a win here in this race? We will have to wait and see. As Zdobo now back into the box. We'll have enough time to get another set of tyres on and go again. Meanwhile, I believe Raheem is behind him. We'll be starting a lap and we'll go on board with Raheem. Very quick time as Zampa has got a 5-place grid penalty for blocking his teammate of Creamy Flaps. Interesting. As Raheem is invalid out of turn 1 and 2. Hopefully he has enough fuel to go again for another lap. Just got to recharge the battery and go again. Meanwhile, A54, the teammate of DZ Racer, currently P7 in the championship, just behind DZ Racer. And Ayub could finally try and get a good lap time on the board here, down in P13. As he is currently P7 in the championship, will want to be closer to the top end. He's a tenth to the good, exiting Sector 1. And now, foot to the floor, down this winding straight. May get a tow from the car up ahead. I think that's a Mercedes Cyber. It's a Cyber. I'm pretty sure it's a Cyber. So we head through turn 9 and 10. And the Cyber does get out of the way, exiting turn 10. That gives the V-Carb a lot of free air to brake heavy into turn 11. Lovely rotation on the car. And now it's just very tricky final sector. One of the trickiest final sectors on the calendar. As Abe a bit deep through turn 13. And as he runs the final corner now, Abe up to the line. And where can Abe go? As he crosses the line, improves to P11. As MQK, as that's Fizzy Boy in behind, starting a lap. NMX James, though, a 10th to the good. Zampa, a 10th to the good. Will stay on board with the championship leader. Can he get any more time out of this? Could jump ahead a few if he can nail this final sector. And gets a good run, exiting turn 11, but really tricky final sector here. But NMX James seeming to nail it. And round the final corner, tricky traction zone again. Turn 12 and 14, really tricky on traction. And NMX James up to the line and up to P2. Gets ahead of few by just under a tenth. As Zampa goes to P2 with a 16.36. And DZ Racer has a hand on P1. And all his closest competitors seem to have already set their laps here, as DZ Racer seems to be going for an extra out lap here before pushing on his lap. Raheem about to start his final run. MQK currently sitting P6. I think he did improve there recently, as Raheem now has to nail turns 1 and 2. And Raheem now on a flyer down to turn 3. And we'll keep an eye. Can Raheem get anywhere close to that pole lap time? Seems to be one of the only drivers who can challenge for pole today will be Raheem, as he's 2 tenths to the good. That's a good start. Rear stepping out as we exit turn 6. A few who's just started lapping the Alpine. He's another driver challenging for pole here in this qualifying session, as DZ Racer still yet to start that final lap time. We've got a bit of a traffic jam into the final corner, as Raheem now. This will be the McLaren's final run. Goes very wide out of turn 10, but keeps it valid, using completely all of the track. And Raheem now rounding the final corner as A54 retires. It's Raheem rounding the final corner. It's been a lightning lap from the McLaren driver as he charges to the line. Where can Raheem go as he crosses the line? It's to stays at P5 despite a 10th improvement. That's very surprising. DZ Racer improving by a 10th. Few, I believe, was 2/10 of the grid, which could put him ahead of NMX James. As Zampa says, 5 place grid pen for letting someone through on a hot lap. I don't know this game, but Zampa will be starting a bit further down the order as Few up into P3, improves by 3/10. He's 4 thousandths behind Zampa, and it looks like DZ Racer has pole in the bag as Northy invalid. DZ Racer could just pit now and save a set of tyres, but I think he wants to extend his pole margin at a wobble out of turn 13. That's going to hurt his in time, but can he get into the 15s? Oh, doesn't. But a 16.1 is a very, very strong lap time from DZ Racer. A 16.166 is your pole lap time for this evening, and the driver who won last time out in Hungary is looking to go from strength to strength here and continuing his winning run. If DZ Racer continues this winning run, NMX James is going to start to sweat here. He's down in P4. And DZ Racer, if he does continue on the form that he's currently on, could start to charge in the championship. And NMX James has got to worry about all these drivers up around ahead of him. But there you have it, DZ Racer in pole in the V-Carb. And after getting pole last time out in Hungary and winning, can he extend his margin? As we'll get the race director in. Unfortunately, Zampa with a grid penalty. He won't be starting P2 like he qualified. Few will be promoted to P2. NMX James into P3. Raheem promoted as well, as along with MQK. Followed by Lil Majin, Billion Penguin, Fizzy Boy, Ansu, Thori, A54, Creamy Flaps, Smoking Ash, Dobo, Northy, Sci-Fi Mega, Page, and RJ. As I need to let the drivers know when to ready up so that no one readies up early. Hopefully it seems to be dry. And for those of you just joining us, we've just had a qualifying session there. DZ Racer on pole here. Now is a good opportunity to get yourself a drink, a little cup of tea, a coffee. Well, maybe not a coffee at 8:30 on a Friday. We all want our bed after a long week at work. But I mean, it's a good opportunity here. To wind down for the week, as we will have I'm trying to remember, Australia, how many laps is Australia? 29? That doesn't sound right. I think it is 29. Thorn H says 29. But welcome in, one and all. Hope you're having a good time. If you haven't followed yet, please do. And also, for those of you who want to race, the link is in our bio to the Discord if you want to join. And there's racing happens every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Tier 3's on Friday. Saturdays is Tier 2. And Tier 1's is Sundays. If you want to join Tier 2, you can watch me spin at the back, that's all I've been doing all season. If you want to join Tier 1 if you're very quick at the game, or equally Tier 3 if you're a beginner, like many of these drivers. Although I would say a lot of these drivers here in Tier 3 up at the top end aren't beginners. They are very quick, especially DZ Racer with a 16.1. That's a very strong lap time. Jabo in the chat says Fizzy Boy top 6. That's his prediction. As Jabo says, fuel on 27 laps. I don't know the fuel, what fuel you should run for Australia, but I guess we'll see. I think that would be a bit brave. Australia's one of those tracks where you're very heavy on the throttle for the majority of the lap, so I don't think going low on fuel is very healthy. But get your predictions in the chat. Who is going to be on your podium? DZ Racer looking very strong out there, but few also a very strong driver will be starting P2, given with Zampa's grid penalty. Where can Zampa improve to? We'll have to wait and see in this Tier 3 race. As Thori in the chat says we are starting, yep, at 8:27. The drivers are told to ready up, so the drivers will be readying up right now. Don't go anywhere. You're about to see the 5 red lights, and we will see 19 drivers do 29 laps around the Australian circuit here in Melbourne, as we will have the 5 red lights on. And they're out as DZ Racer will lead us down into turn 1. Get some wheel spin! And as he round, DZ Racer spins across the track and he's disqualified! DZ Racer disqualified off the start! NMX James up to P2. Raheem almost into the rear of his championship rival. There's a Sauber off the track here as he rejoins. Fizzy Boy contact with a Haas as another Haas. Oh my god, we're side by side through the middle sector, and oh my god, there's been a huge car crash. Someone bring the safety car out. What is happening? Oh my lord, what an absolutely crazy lap 1. VSC out. Oh my lord, what even happened there? DZ Racer start from pole and disqualified after spinning off the start. And I don't even know how many drivers got damaged there. It looked like RJ and Ansu went wide exiting turn 5 into the wall. And they've definitely got a box for a new front wing. Hopefully the VSC will stay out long enough to get them into the box. But absolute chaos here. Few. And Sci-Fi with a 10-second penalty. Contact with RJ. How's that even happened? That's a bit of a strange one. As NMX James has got a really poor restart. That's allowed Few to completely check off down the road as there's multiple drivers into the pit lane here. Following the lap 1 chaos. But Few now. Oh, and there's another VSC. What has happened here? Thori and Fizzy Boy swapping. I don't even know what the other VSC's for. Sci-Fi with some damage here. And 4 drivers into the pit lane will be glad. And A54 gets a drive through. That's not ideal. Did anyone else get a drive through? Just A54. That was a really short VSC. As El Pratt in the chat says, fastest DSQ ever. And I didn't even know it was possible to get DSQ that quickly. But this VSC has helped NMX James get back onto the rear of Few. Few had got a brilliant restart after that first VSC. But the second VSC, which I'm a bit surprised by, has allowed NMX James to get back up into the range as MQK battling with Lil Maj and big contact. Zampa now on the inside of MQK. Can he get through? On turn 12 as MQK leaves the track, does the Oscar Piastri line and loses a lap, or not a lap, a position there to Zampa as A54 into the pit lane. Thori now into P7. And Fizzy Boy on the rear as well. Zampa now trying to catch Lil Maj and trying to stay with the lead pack as NMX James now looking on the rear of Few. And you thought for a second there Few was going to build a big gap, but now NMX James on the hard tyres. It's going to be interesting to see how this race pans out. Can NMX James do the reverse strategy? Seems to have a lot of pace early on in this hard stint, but I think we have seen him just pick up his second warning. It looks like he left the track again. They're exiting turn 6. As NMX James now on the outside of Few into turn 9, and the Ferrari will take the lead of the race as the championship leader. Didn't have the best of qualifyings, but he's back into the lead of the race as Thori through on MQK. Few now looking on the inside of NMX James, but not close enough to make a move on the Ferrari. But NMX James is absolutely loving life in the race. He's just showing you the consistency that he's had this season as Billy and Penguin now through on MQK. Keeps going wide, it seems, as DZ Racer finally leaves the session. As MQK now trying to recover, has had a bit of a shaky start here as Sci-Fi and Page swap Page into the wall on the heartbreak for the Williams driver of Page. Maybe potentially contact with Sci-Fi Mag-Hype, and Page now may have to come into the pit lane to fix that damage. As Few on the rear of NMX James, but not close enough to making a move here. As Billion now through on Thory as the Haas driver swap here. Billion currently P3 in the championship and P6 in the race, is going to have a big comeback drive here. Meanwhile, Few on the rear of NMX James, who's already flashing on the rear. And this may allow Few with DRS to get ahead of the Ferrari driver. And Raheem also involved here. It's going to be an absolute kerfuffle here. As Few gets through on NMX James, looks for the switchback, opens the door to Raheem though. NMX James looking for the switchback, Raheem on the outside, and that's the Alpine gone round of Few. Contact with NMX James and Few is down and around and down to P5. Thankfully has recovered. I don't know, he does have damage. Front right end plate gone for the Alpine driver. Leaves the track there. And Billion, that's Thory, through on Few. Is Few going to come in to the pit lane? Damage for the leader. As Raheem now on the rear of NMX James, who Few with a 10-second time penalty. That's going to really hurt the Alpine driver. But Raheem now on the rear of NMX James. Did NMX James, would he pick up a penalty for that as Thory and Billion somehow swapping again? Few has retired in the pit lane as Fizzy Boy looking on the inside of his teammate MQK around the outside of Billion. Risky move and no real room in order to make that move, but Few unhappy with that contact. And I'm sure the stewards may have a look at that one. As Raheem now on the rear of NMX James. And can Raheem get through on the outside of turn 9? Risky place to be going for the move. NMX James defends into turn 9, but on the exit of turn 10, can Raheem get the lead of the race here? As Raheem putting pressure on the Ferrari, but the Ferrari doing well to defend here. And as time progresses, those hard tyres are going to start to improve and help NMX James in this race. Raheem realistically needs to get ahead as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Lil Majin and Zampa also involved in this battle. They want to get a move on as well. As Billion leading this mini train, it's Haas working together. As Fizzy Boy spun out of turn 12 as Sci-Fi's off the track. I'm not sure what happened with Sci-Fi. I don't know if he spun in sympathy, or maybe Fizzy Boy may have been involved in that spin. I'm not quite sure. As Raheem still putting pressure on the Ferrari here. And Lil Majin and Zampa, who have slowly worked their way up the field now, are definitely watching this battle along here. As Raheem now around the outside of NMX James, going to get comfortably through, surely, with DRS ahead of his championship rival. And can even Lil Majin close up in the Ferrari? As Ollie Bean says, Thory gets through on Billion. We've got Lil Majin still. Oh no, Raheem's gone! And he's completely collected. Lil Majin. Oh, this is heartbreaking for Lil Majin. He was just an absolute victim in that crash. Raheem made a mistake exiting turn 10, and Lil Majin's front wing completely sliced off. As Zampa now will surely get ahead of Lil Majin as he'll enter the pit lane. And NMX James now may have gotten the gap that he needed on Zampa now to start to build this lead. And heartbreak for Lil Majin around the background. It's Billy and Penguin, another one of the championship contenders, is gone. And this has been an absolutely chaotic race. What has happened here? Zampa now going to try and get back inside DRS range of NMX James as Northey gets a 3-second time penalty up to P7. He's having a very strong race despite that time penalty. As Ollie Bean did mention, he's avoided all the chaos. Ollie Bean says, what is happening? I can't even eat my dinner. And this is a tricky race to watch if you're eating your dinner, because there's a lot of chaos happening. A54 retires in the pit lane. V-Carb have called it a day, as Thori now up into P4 after having a horrible qualifying. He's worked his way up to P4. He's now in the rear of PLG Raheem. And Thori now down into turn 11, going to get through on Raheem. Raheem with that right end plate damage. It's going to cost him here. Is Raheem going to try and fight this out, but breaks early. Doesn't want any contact with Thori. And I think it's better at this point he just let him go. And Raheem, I think, has to come in now. Fix that damage. And yeah, unfortunately for Raheem, that contact with Majin has cost them a lot here. And they're going to have to two-stop from here for sure. As Zampa going to charge after NMX James. As Thori up into P3. MQK into P4. As Lil Majin will get ahead of Raheem, who he did have the contact with to cause that to cause the damage. And it's really unfortunate for Majin, because he was just a complete victim in that accident. Although Raheem, it wasn't an intentional, he just lost the rear out of turn 10. And James did well to avoid it, but Majin didn't see it coming and smashed off his front wing. Glad at least both drivers are still in the race, but they've got to do a lot of recovery. Meanwhile, Thori now on the rear of Zampa. Thori's been cutting his way through the field, and now on the rear of SSR Zampa. As Lil Majin getting through on Sci-Fi Mega Hype with the benefit of DRS. Meanwhile, Thori on the rear of Zampa. And Zampa always been good with managing tyres, so Zampa should be able to take this around lap 12, 13, 14 before going on to the hard tyres. I would say lap 13 is possibly the ideal lap you want to go in, if you can manage it that far, because then you can push the hards easily to the end. Meanwhile, Thori on the outside now of turn 3 and breaks later than Zampa and gets round the outside, and a lovely move from Thori, and Thori now up into P2, and he'll charge after NMX James. Meanwhile, Fizzy Boy on the rear of Billion Penguin, and Billion trying to catch Northy as Fizzy Boy goes a little deep, with Ansu picking up his first 3-second time penalty of the day. As Ledgeman says, how is Page 25 seconds back? Well, Page, unfortunately, may have had contact with, I believe, Sci-Fi Mega Hype, and was spun around in the wall, exiting turn 12. And Page now down, unfortunately, far down the order, and needs a safety car realistically to get her back into the action here. 40 seconds back from the rest of the pack. As Fizzy Boy goes wide, picks up a penalty. You'd have to say, yeah, we did see that coming. As Billion now still trying to catch the rear of Northy. Can Northy hold on to these tyres long enough? With Fizzy Boy putting pressure on the Haas driver, runs wide again, possibly picking up another warning. As Zampa now in. MQK out of nowhere is up in P4. MQK started P16 last race and moved all the way up to P4. Meanwhile, he's got ahead of Zampa. Zampa's gone very deep. What's happened, Zampa? I think he may have touched the grass. Doesn't have damage, does the Aston Martin driver, but a little mistake from the Aston Martin driver has allowed MQK to join the podium places. And for those of you just joining, Zampa and Thori are drivers from higher tiers, so may be disqualified after the race, which essentially means MQK may have a net P2 as things stand. But MQK is still going to look to catch the cars ahead, as Billion losing out to Northy. Northy now up to P6, and you'd love to see Northy get a very strong result here. Currently in P6, having such a strong race, has avoided all the carnage, and Northy now with some pressure behind of Billion Penguin, who is P3 in the championship, as Northy's car just looked like oh, what's happening on my screen? Northy off in the grass, though. That's not going to be helpful. I've seen a couple desync. It might be Northy that's desyncing. We're seeing his car jump around a bit. It's a bit distracting. Meanwhile, MQK trying to catch Thory. Thory trying to head after NMX James. All the gaps we're seeing are relatively evens, as Fizzy Boy, I think, is the first driver to pull the pin of the drivers who are doing the one stop. He can do the hards to the end. We'll see if he can manage them to the end. Lap 11's realistically the earliest you want to go if you're doing the one stop here. Any earlier and it's a real stretch. Meanwhile, Billion on the rear of Northy now may go a little longer before swapping to the hard tyres. But can he get a good exit out of turn 6? And we are seeing Northy desync a little bit, which will be a little bit distracting. But hopefully Billion can get through without too much drama. And by the way, Ledgeman, if you're just joining, Thory and Zampa may get disqualified because they're drivers in higher tiers as Billion spins at turn 10. And into the wall he goes, and Billion has just taken those tyres far too long. But as it stands, Northy is a net P4. Well, not a net P4 as in pit stops, but he's currently P4, even though it says he's P6. As he's gone deep off the track. Well, I'd like to say apologies for the commentator's curse. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the commentator's curse is unfortunately a real thing, lads. Anyway, Fizzy Boy on the rear of Creamy Flaps into the rear of the Aston Martin driver as we get round the final corner. And Fizzy Boy now trying in a drag race with Creamy Flaps down to turn 1. And can this Cyber get ahead of the Aston Martin driver? And a lovely move as Creamy Flaps down to P12. As MQK now inside DRS range from Thory. Meanwhile, Thory starting to make some inroads slightly on NMX James. MQK, the one with DRS on Thory. This is going to help MQK's race a lot here. Big mistake from Thory, though. And that's going to cost him a lot of time to the Ferrari up ahead. Meanwhile, Raheem on the rear of Northy. Raheem has done his pit stop. And will Raheem look for a send in a turn 11? No, Northy going to stay ahead. And Raheem going to have to wait. Zampa looking to catch Raheem. Raheem will probably going to have to do the two-stop here as MQK battling at turn 1 with Thory. Gets ahead. I wonder did he pick up a warning there potentially. Cutting the inside there as we're seeing some desync with someone. I'm not quite sure who it is. Meanwhile, Raheem gets ahead of Northy, exiting the final corner and into turn 1. He is ahead. But Northy's still having a very strong outing there and could be on for his best result. I believe his best result this season is around a P7. So currently sitting in P6 is a strong position, but does still have to get his pit stop as Thory loses out to MQK again. MQK now up to P2 as Thory has DRS. So I wonder if these two swapping over and over again. Or maybe MQK's lagging back. Oh, major desync. Thory ghosted momentarily. And I think someone's desyncing horribly. I'm not quite sure who it is. It might be Thory. I'm struggling to see who's actually desyncing worse here. They seem to be both kind of jumping around a bit. Very strange. Oh, just went through the map there very momentarily. As Thory now on the rear of it, MQK going to pick the outside of the Cyber driver and get ahead round the outside. As the Cyber going to poke a nose in and goes a little wide here.
No heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the pack.
Thank you for the 10-bit Sledge, man. And for those of you who have just heard, we've added some new sound alerts. As you just heard. But yeah, it's unfortunate to miss you, Ledge, man. But at least you can watch some exciting action here today, as Zampa has got ahead of Northy and Billion ahead of some people entering the pit lane. Creamy Flaps now onto fresh hards. He'll be going to the very end now. And I think that was Creepy Flap's one and only stop, so he did very well. That's his second stop, actually. I was about to say he did very well to do the one stop, but he's actually on his second stop. But he should be able to go to the end there. Has anyone seen Smoke and Ash there do a bunny hop? Is it my connection that's the issue? It looked like Smoke and Ash just bunny hopped there momentarily. Yeah, there's some issue with the game or me. Everyone's like desync momentarily. Every sector there's like a weird bunny hop animation thing. As RJ on the rear of Billion. Yeah, I do think it's my connection. I don't know why it's playing up. That's Ash off the track. Ash off the track and into the pit lane. Goes deep and has possibly taken those hard tires a bit too long. Although to go to this long on the mediums to the end is going to be a stretch, considering he only did 12 laps on the hards. He's going to do 13 or 14 laps on the mediums as Thori gets ahead of MQK. I don't know if that was more lag or desync. This is starting to be quite distracting. I'm not quite sure what's happening here. Which is not the best of things to hear from the commentator. As MQK now on the rear of Thori. Raheem picks up his first 3-second time penalty of the day as he tries to catch Majin. Meanwhile, Northey with another 3-second time penalty. And thank you for the subscription, Dubsy. Welcome into the stream. As Michael Louis says, porpoising intensifies. Has the game crashed? Oh no. Oh no. It's fucking crashing. Oh shit. Ah, shit. What is happening? Oh, shit.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Fuck. Yep. Game crashed. I was wondering what was wrong with the game. And it crashed. Well, as we wait to get restarted, we can have a quick interview with the commentator if you want. I don't really know what to do, as the cameras couldn't be less focused on me. Here we are. Lads, don't know what happened there. Safe to say. Not quite sure. Rio, Paul was for DZ Racer, and then he spun off the start and got immediately disqualified for facing the wrong way. The game has just crashed, which I don't know why that happened, but it has. So I'm going to try and see if I can get someone to invite me in.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Still we rise, guys. Still we rise.
Hopefully someone can get me back into the lobby as we have pinged the tier 3 drivers. Hopefully someone is... Hopefully someone invites us. But I don't know why the game has just crashed. Legendman, please do. Thank you for the subscription. Thank you, Paige. Paige is the absolute G and the lifesaver. Thank you, Paige, for the invite. We can actually see what's happening. I've never had that before. The game was kind of freaking out for a bit there, and then in the end ended up crashing. So as we load back into the lobby, hopefully we can get back into the action again as we load in again. Hopefully we haven't missed too much. Ollie Bean says that's not the sound I wanted when subbing. Well, that's how excited the other Ollie gets. As we're back in the lobby, great to see as Thori battling with no one. MQK has built a gap somehow. MQK has built a major gap to Thori. He's caught NMX James. What have we missed? Zampa on the rear of Raheem. Majin into the lead. Dobo into P7. Dobo's on a really strong recovery drive. Northy in P9, yet to box. Northy, you got to box very soon onto the mediums if you can. Paige in P16. Thank you for the invite. Paige gets a cookie for pausing the game to invite me. Thank you very much. Zampa on the rear of Raheem. And Lil Majin is in a very strong position, could still win this race. A lot of the medium runners coming through now as yellow flag is out, and unfortunately, I think it was Paige, but Paige, don't worry, we're going to give you all the cookies for inviting me. As Billion gets ahead of Northy finally coming into the pit lane. MQK, you could say potentially the battle for the lead is here, because these medium runners will be on an absolute charge trying to catch the hard runners. Meanwhile, Zampa on the rear of Raheem. Can the Aston Martin driver get ahead of the McLaren and round the outside? Now Zampa through into P2 as MQK putting pressure on NMX James. And can Zampa catch Majin as well? Majin has 5-lap older tyres than Zampa, so it's going to be tricky to defend from the Aston Martin driver as MQK now on the rear of the Ferrari.
No heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the pack.
Thank you for the 100 bits, Ledge Man, absolute G, as MQK now on the rear of NMX James, putting pressure. NMX James now has DRS off Raheem. Raheem's lost DRS range from Zampa. Zampa now has DRS range on Majin. Meanwhile, Ash on the rear of Ansu. Fizzy Boy on the rear of Dobo. There's a lot happening here, and we're going to try and catch as much as we can. Thankfully, the game hopefully is not going to crash on us again, as James now.
No heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the pack.
Thank you for all the bits, Ollie Bean. We've got a hype train going. That's rare. As MQK now on the rear of NMX James as we head down to turn 9 and 10. Raheem defending here. NMX James doesn't get the best of exits. Can MQK put some pressure on the Ferrari? As into turn 11, will he go for the sand? He has gone for the sand. MQK, diabolical sand. And the Ferrari sees him coming as Zampa on the rear. Sci-Fi's left the... What happened? What?
No heroics into Sandoval,
That was weird.
please. We're in amongst the pack.
But we've got a whole train of cars here. As Sci-Fi's left the... race. Not quite sure why.
No heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the pack.
As James is on the outside of Raheem. Why is everyone having issues? Jesus Christ, why do people not have their names? James gets through on Raheem. MQK battling with Raheem as well. And Raheem now down to P5. As James now on the rear of Zampa. Zampa trying to get DRS range from Majin up ahead. As Thori picks up a 3-second time penalty. Fizzy Boy into the pit lane for his final pit stop onto the medium tyres. MQK now charging after NMX James. So there's a mini train here with Zampa, Majin all involved here. And can Zampa find a way through on Lil Majin? As we exit turn 10, Zampa's going to try and get ahead. NMX James, though, the championship leader with a 3-second time penalty. As Zampa not close enough to going for a move. As Zampa now on putting pressure on Majin. James now potentially may lose the win here with a 3-second time penalty as he's MQK for company. Raheem starting to fall back, and he's going to come in for another pit stop. And I mean, I have to say that was coming. Raheem struggling for pace here, and I don't know if he's going to get those hards to go to the end. As Zampa on the inside of Majin at turn 1. Has he gone deep though? Leaves the track, and Majin going to try and get back through again. And has DRS now as he tries to defend into turn 3. And Majin into the rear of Zampa as MQK round the outside of NMX James. And what a move from the Sauber. What an absolutely sensational move from MQK. Up into P3.
Please. We're in amongst the pack.
Thank you for all the bits, Dubsy and Ledge, man. I must add more sound alerts because, oh my lord, no! What happened there? Oh my god, the desync was horrible. MQK now trying to defend from James. James on the outside. This could be an absolute calamitous. Oh, what's happening? Side by side go MQK and NMX James. Where is the Mercedes?
No heroics into Sandoval, please.
I can't even tell. Lil Majin, his desync was horrible there. I couldn't even tell where he was. MQK up into P2. And Lil Majin's back again. What? What? Oh my god, MQK's locked the rears. He's locked the rears. What am I even saying? What am I saying? Why is Majin back here again? NMX James now in the rear of Lil Majin, but Lil Majin's connection's absolutely gone. I can't even quite tell where anyone is at this point. As Fizzy Boy gets through on Ash. Ash going to try and battle with Fizzy Boy as we head through turn 12. Ash, can he get ahead of Fizzy Boy? Contact, and Ash almost around in the wall, brushes the wall. Thankfully, no damage for Ash. Meanwhile, NMX James on the rear of Majin. As Majin tries to hold on to DRS range from Zampa. And Zampa on the much better tyres, may be able to pull a gap now as Ash gets ahead of Ansu into turn 1. But this race has been utterly mental. MQK locked the rears, possibly because he's seen a Mercedes appear out of thin air. And everyone in the chat, apologies, have missed out on the level 2 hype train. Missed out by 2%. And I will add some more sound alerts for hype trains and stuff in future. As NMX James now in the rear of Lil Majin, putting pressure on the Mercedes, and Lil Majin does keep ahead, but has now lost DRS to Zampa, and that may allow NMX James now to get ahead. Lil Majin is down into turn 1. The Ferrari driver through on Zampa. And Lil Majin now on the rear of NMX James. DRS engaged. As Ansu ahead of Ash. Raheem ahead of Dobo into turn 1. And Raheem on medium tyres to the end. Can he be quick on those tyres? We will wait and see. As Ash and Ansu continue to battle Dobo. Can't get back ahead of Raheem. And Raheem, I think, will disappear down the road. But can he catch the cars ahead? Meanwhile, Majin battling with James. James has made a big error to turn 6. And Majin surely going to get through with DRS. But hasn't got the best of runs. And James still has DRS despite his big mistake. As Thori gets through an MQK. And Lil Majin still on the rear of James. Can Lil Majin hold on to the rear of NMX James for long enough? I don't think he has it. I don't think he has any left. I think those hard tyres are completely gone. As Lil Majin has gone so long on those hard tyres. And into the pit lane, I think does come Lil Majin. And yeah, he's just gone too long. And I think he should have boxed earlier. As MQK now on the rear of Thori. And MQK still on for a potential win here. He's inside the threshold of NMX James. And a reminder, Zampa and Thori both might get disqualified because they're two drivers in higher tiers just reserving for this evening's action. as MQK on the rear of Thori now on the outside. The Sauber driver, can he get ahead of the Haas? And he has done just that. And the Sauber driver now looking to catch NMX James as Thori goes wide. May have picked up another warning. Meanwhile, MQK could be on for his first win in WHF. And where did he start from? Oh, he actually started P5, so it wasn't like a monster drive like we see in Hungary. But still, very impressive driving from MQK here. As NMX James now on the rear of Zampa. Zampa defensive into turn 1. As NMX James now on the rear of the Aston Martin driver here on lap 26 of 29. And the Ferrari shaping up for a move. But look how quickly MQK has closed down. The gap has absolutely shrunk through that first part of the lap. NMX James is going to try and get ahead, but makes a mistake through turn 6. That's going to allow MQK to close up even more. He won't have DRS this lap, I don't believe. And it may allow Thori to put some pressure on MQK. But as we head on to laps in the future, Thori now round the outside of MQK. And Thori through on MQK. May have cut the inside there of turn 9. And can Thori get inside DRS range? Just down into turn 11. James straight on through on Zampa. Zampa almost into the rear of the Ferrari as Thori now joining this battle as well. And MQK now has some traffic ahead of him to try and get ahead of NMX James. Oh, and Thori off in the wall. And Thori, did he pick up any damage there? Big spin out of turn 13. Can't see his car so far away from this camera angle. He doesn't have damage, but he has dropped out of this lead battle. MQK, though, just needs to keep his nose clean, avoid any time penalties, and MQK could be on for his first win in WHF. As yellow flag out there, I'm not quite sure. It was Northey in the wall, and Northey having such a strong first stint, but unfortunately now damage for Northey, and unfortunately he'll be dropping down the order and potentially battling the likes of Sci-Fi Mega Hype. Meanwhile, Zampa on the rear of NMX James. MQK trying to be involved in this battle. Actually had a big spin early in the race, and I don't even know how he's recovered. He's had such strong pace to recover from that spin, MQK. What a drive it has been for him. Zampa on the rear of the Ferrari of NMX James, not close enough to make a move. MQK putting pressure on the Aston Martin driver. The battle for the podium still rages on here. And MQK looking in a very strong position, almost into the rear of Zampa, went so deep. As we're about to start the penultimate lap of the race, James will start the penultimate lap of the race here. And can MQK work his way up to get ahead? But at the moment, MQK will have a net P1. Just kind of matters, will there be any drama between Zampa and NMX James here, as MQK makes a mistake again! MQK! Stop making ridiculous mistakes! Somehow locked the rears into turn 4. Oh my god, or into turn 3. These are silly mistakes to be making on the penultimate lap as Fizzy Boy picks up a 3-second time penalty. As a bit of silliness from MQK. Think he still has DRS, he does. As Zampa now on the inside of turn 9. Risky place to be going for a move on NMX James. And Zampa gonna have to wait until turn 11 to potentially go for this move. But not close enough to making a move on the Ferrari driver as MQK back up into this battle, but keeps locking the rears. Stop overcooking the rears, MQK, please. Just keep it on the track. And this is yours. Please. Please. MQK now still following along. Fizzy Boy gets out of Billion, and Billion almost contact with the Sauber there, but backs out of it as Thori on the rear of MQK down into turn 1. Oh my god, Thori breaks late into turn 1, misses his breaking point completely, and he's parked it on the apex. And will this cost MQK? As MQK now round the outside, he's lost DRS to the cars ahead. And this could cost him massively in the battle for the win. Has he got enough gap? Zampa's going to have to try and put pressure on NMX James here. But is MQK close enough? The gap's getting even bigger as time progresses here. And MQK potentially could win or lose the win here. As Zampa now with DRS on it on NMX James, but doesn't seem to be close enough. Thori now getting ahead of MQK. And Zampa now catching James, but can he shape for a move? He's not close enough. And James may have this as Zampa goes deep through turn 11. Has Raheem gone? Raheem's had a spin. Exiting turn 10. That's lost him a position to Lil Majin. I don't know if MQK has it, as Zampa going to round the final corner now. Followed by following NMX James as we cross the line. The Ferrari is going to cross the line in the lead. Zampa will take the lead, but can MQK get NMX James? He has, and MQK for the first time in his WHF career will win in Australia, with Zampa and Thori being disqualified due to being drivers in higher tiers. But MQK picks up his first win in WHF. Absolute cinema. As NMX James into P3, Lil Majin up to P5. And brilliant to see Raheem down to P6. Billion gets ahead of Fizzy Boy. Ansu into P10 as Ash will finish P11 ahead of Creamy Flaps. He'll get his best finish position of the season. Yes, Rio MQK will be the winner as Ansu finishes just 2/10 behind Fizzy Boy. Creamy Flaps in oh my lord, where has RJ's nose gone? The whole front of the car's gone. What happened? Ferrari, you forgot the entire nose structure on the car. What is going on, Ferrari? Rio, it's El Prat. But absolute cinema. I know you'll see Zampa at the top step of the podium. He can take it. He can take some pride winning this race. But as for reality, MQK, the Cyber driver, will actually win this race ahead of NMX James, followed by Lil Majin, with Zampa and Thori being disqualified due to being drivers in higher tiers, just reserving for today. Just for a bit of racing fun, building some confidence. I did the same back in Belgium. I won in Belgium, but was disqualified due to being in a higher tier and reserving. But great scenes. Zampa drinking the champagne. Driver of the day deservingly goes to MQK. Fastest lap and the win for MQK, and MQK wins in Australia ahead of NMX James and Thorian Majin. As I didn't get to see the race tractor. Okay. As we're gonna try and get the drivers into the. Let me try and see. Try and get the drivers into the channel as James.
It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G. Snoop Dogg.
But if you have enjoyed that race, please drop a follow. I've been WHFO. We're going to get some driver interviews going here as NMX James finished first on track, but unfortunately with that penalty, you dropped down to P2. Also, if you're unaware, Zampa and Thori will both be disqualified just because they were reserving from a higher tier, so they'll be removed. Thank you for the subscription, Rain in the chat as well. But James, how'd that race go for you?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I think after so long of not touching the game, I didn't know what to do, but then eventually I got my rhythm back and got P3. I got damage from when Raheem kind of spun a bit, tipped my wing, so kind of fucked it. Then I repaired the wing, got on new tyres, and just floored it down the road.
We missed kind of a part of that race due to lagging out. What happened in that during the stint where you pit onto the mediums? We've seen you actually lose a whole lot of time. What happened there?
I had to repair the wing. See, I had a bit of a wing damage, so I had to repair that. That's why I lost a bit of time.
It's really unfortunate. You did build a big gap, but that in the end, that 3-second time penalty cost you. I mean,
it did.
But you still lead the championship, and you also have extended your championship margin over the drivers behind. But still, congrats on the P2, James, and hopefully where we head. I'm trying to work out where we head to next.
Brazil is next, and I love that track.
Well, I'm guessing we'll see you at the top step of the podium next time out in Brazil. We're looking forward to seeing it. But we'll move on now to Lil Majin, who's just joined. Majin, I know you're unaware, but both Zampa and Thori will be disqualified due to just being drivers reserving for today from higher tiers. So you've been promoted to P3. How'd that race go for you?
Unfortunate start. For lap 5 or 6, got damage from the guy in front who spun, and then just the hards weren't going to last till the end, unfortunately, so I had to pit late.
Well, still a decent race. Did you think the one stop was doable, or did you just go in too early?
It was definitely doable, but with the damage I had to pit on that lap, which was clearly 3 or 4 laps too early, so just bad timing.
I will say, we seen you desync so much. I couldn't even tell if that was on my end or your end. Were you experiencing some desync with other drivers?
Not that I could think of, no.
But I'll
have a look over the next few days and try and sort it out if it's my end.
Yeah, we'll try and work out what happened there. I can't tell if it was my end because my game ended up crashing in the middle of that race, so a bit of a strange one. See. But we'll move on to MQK, the man of the hour. MQK, if you're not aware, both Zampa and Thori were just reserving from higher tiers, so both drivers will be disqualified, which essentially means you've been handed your first win in WHF. How does that one feel?
Yeah, I didn't think that, but yeah, that's great.
But how'd that race go for you, MQK?
I mean, I was just driving at a comfortable pace throughout the race, doing some tyre management so I can get into the one stop in, so yeah.
And how were the battles? We've seen you absolutely furiously battling throughout there.
Yeah, I was just trying my best to defend and attack, and when you did towards like the middle of the race, I think a lot of people were desyncing for me. Like Margin, for example, he just started teleporting right in front of me.
Yeah,
that's what caused me to spin.
Yeah, we did see that because Margin literally disappeared and then reappeared at turn 13. And that's where you locked the rears. And I was like, I can't blame you for locking the rears there because that was a complete jump scare for us. He just appeared out of nowhere. But either way, after that spin, I'm really surprised how you're able to recover and catch the leaders despite that spin. Did you think you'd be able to catch the leaders after that spin?
Not really. I thought the gap was too big, but I guess it just came down to tie wear at the end there.
Well, really strong race, and congrats to you on your first win, MQK. We're looking forward to seeing what you can do for the rest of the race. That's 2 driver of the day performances in a row. Do you think you can keep that form going into Brazil?
Brazil's one of my worst tracks, I'll be honest, but I do my best.
Well, anyway, thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed, this has been WHF for round 7 in Tier 3, and here in Australia, MQK is your winner, followed by James and followed by Lil Majin. We'll find someone to raid on our way out, but this has been a very fun one to watch this evening. We'll raid Lucas Blakely, who's doing some GT4s at Daytona. But anyway, thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed, please drop a follow. We'll be back tomorrow for Tier 2 as they head to Mexico for round 7, followed by Tier 1 on Sunday, where they head to... where's Tier 1 heading? Silverstone. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and goodbye.